I'm Karen Varga with CEAg World Greenhouse Produce, an innovative brand that engages with the rapidly expanding global greenhouse produce industry through a variety of platforms. Our mission is to educate and connect greenhouse produce growers and industry allies to help them better understand and sustainably advance the global food industry. On this episode of CEAg Talks, I'm back with Chris Veillon. Chris is an expert marketer with 17 years of experience in the fresh produce industry. Over the years, Chris has worked for a wide variety of successful greenhouse produce operations and used his marketing know-how to extend their brand's reaches, increase sales, and ultimately to increase product consumption. Chris, welcome back.
Hey, Karen, thanks for having me.
So today we're going to talk about marketing plans for fresh produce growers. So first of all, why do marketing plans matter? I mean, shouldn't my product just sell itself with its excellent taste and high quality?
Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. We can, we hope that, products, when they come to market, they look so great in packages, they should sell themselves. However, much needs to go on behind the scenes to bring these products to market. Those in the greenhouse space know that the R&D phases from P1 always up to trial is a very lengthy process. We're not just talking 6 to 12 months. We're talking, 3 to 5, potentially sometimes 7 years. So when these products come to market, it's not just for, the faint at heart. There's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, but the marketing plan behind it is so much more than just the product. And especially today, with the retail reach as wide, as varied as it is, and certainly the product assortment so extensive, you've got to be able to create a plan that kind of outlines from launch 30 days, 60, 90, and 120 days in to, make sure that the product is getting the love and attention that it deserves. Because as we all know, it's really difficult to get a new product into a retail partner who already has a wide assortment of products, likely in that same space. But in my world, it's been for years. It's plan the work the plan, and it's imperative that those plans are very clear from launch. That it's so much more than just the product in the package. There are still some today, slap a label on the pack and off it goes to retail, and fingers crossed we get the return that we want on that individual pack. But those companies that are growing by leaps and bounds, that are investing in marketing, understanding that behind the curtain there's more than just someone putting a PowerPoint together. There are a variety of tactics, initiatives that are going to be firing on all angles as that product comes to life, to make sure that packaging is correct, trade media is updated, social media is rampant and fueled and fired, and you got influencers and content creators alike that are using your product 6 ways to Sunday to get some traction for it. But absolutely, the marketing mix, or the marketing plan, or the 5 P's of marketing, whatever you want to call it, marketing today is so much more than just what's on the label.
All right, so let's pull back the curtain for us. What's your most important factor to consider when starting your marketing plan?
Over the years, we've kind of evolved my kind of brand 360 idea of what it takes to bring a product to market. And it's the very 5 basic things: goals and objectives, define your target audience, understand the tactics at your disposal, use those tactics properly, and then develop your timeline and budget. But ultimately, those goals and objectives have to be real and transparent to your stakeholders, and make sure that you can accomplish it with resources that you have. And not every grower marketer has a marketing team at its disposal that can create all this great content. I posted on LinkedIn a few days ago about one of my favorite brands, which is Yeti, and how they have developed their own internal marketing agency, and to stay true to the brand and what they were doing product wise, so they can control the narrative. But not everybody has the ability to do that. So I listed off, I think, 6 or 7 different agencies out there, and include my good friends Leah Halverson and Mary Halsup from 10 Acre. I think there was Steve Gallagher at Tugboat, Megan and her team at DMA, Karen Ardozi at Moxie, all these great agencies that work in fresh produce that can help bring your product and brand to life. But the goal is key. You have to really understand, am I trying to grow my customer reach? Am I increasing the number of products sold? Or really, am I trying to extend the overall brand reach of that? So, but the goals and objectives are probably the very, very top of the list. And then understanding who the target market is. If you kind of look at a B2B, B2C world, obviously those that are in the grower space are looking at the B2C world. So, which retailer, which region, which store type. And then to support that on the back end, this whole push-pull of marketing, pulling people into the stores, you got to think of consumers, their age, their gender, their purchasing habits. household income, product association. And then, all the tactics that are out there. There is a multitude of tactics. And I'm a huge fan of an omni-channel rollout. Then omni-channel is a combination of traditional, which we consider, billboard, or radio, TV, newspaper, and magazine. Yes, magazines still exist. Newspapers still do exist in paper format, but the digital world. I'm a huge fan of the digital world, what that looks like. Social influence can only take you so far, but you need an active web presence, search engine marketing and optimization of keywords, video content, and I mentioned before the content creators. But you really have to understand where you get your most traction. So, kind of that mix of all these elements together will hopefully grow that part for you. And then how to weigh out and how to plan that forward. What does that look like? How are these tactics going to connect with your customers? And ultimately, it all comes down to money and time. Plain and simple, you got to understand what can be done and when, and what dollars do you have at your disposal to execute. That's definitely goes key with in hand with goals and objectives.
So if you're working at a produce company and saying, our marketing plan really is lacking, how do you demonstrate to leadership the value of investing that time and money into the marketing plan?
You know what? It's in my mind, it's fairly simple. Why do you exist? You've got to define your why. What has worked from you? What has worked for you in the past? Give it a time frame: 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And things changed a lot in the last decade. I mean, COVID turned our world upside down for most. But the value of strategic marketing is understanding, those key goals and objectives. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to ship more product? Are you trying to find more retailers? But the value proposition to that to company leadership is understanding, the marketing part of the business is there to support the sales team. The sales team's role is to build relationships, close the deals, maintain the relationship, and sell through more product. But what tools do they need? Because let's be honest, as we said in last conversation, everything is fueled by the digital world. So their retail partners are looking online. So make sure you have a very, strategic and dynamic position. From a website standpoint, you don't need to invest in every social media channel that's out there. I mean, it's a beast. And if you start feeding the beast gets hungry. So get ready for that. But ultimately, it's understanding the why you exist as a company and how you're trying to change people's lives. So the marketing aspect kind of really peels back those layers and into the story of how that business came to life and what its value is to the retail partner, but ultimately to the end consumer.
And then, okay, so you put this marketing plan into place. How do you measure its success?
You know what? Marketing is a tough one in some respects, to measure its success. Most in the produce world don't sell online. It's an information piece online. So we're not selling widgets. We're not selling, items that are CPG and you can, count the click-throughs and so forth. But I would like to think general brand awareness is a certain way as a key way to measure the success in the marketplace. The ability to, grow your reach with your retailer. If you're constantly shipping a great product to your retailer and have great sell-through and little turn in return, so to speak, the ability to measure that value in the relationship is key. But overall, it's more importantly about how that product is resonating at retail. Your digital following is a certain way to measure month to month, and putting accurate KPIs behind that to make sure that the investment that we're putting towards it is getting the return that in certain from awareness standpoint, because we don't have an actual dollar fee we can measure from a marketing perspective, unless you have, point of sale, running promotions and cooperative promotions with other partners that can help, with demo programs and such. Those obviously have a hard return on what's being spent. So I'm a huge fan of demo programs. There's some great partners out there that invest quite heavily in demo programs, seen some great success with it. Prices range, by region, but the more important thing is the greatest barrier to trial is actually getting people to try that product. So if you have an opportunity to do a demo program, jump on it. It's worth every penny.
And what can you explain a little bit more what a demo program is for someone that may not be familiar?
So depending where you are, if you've been through a Costco or a Sam's Club or an HEB or a Kroger, Kroger has a fantastic program. It's pretty much turnkey. They have these, demo stands at the end of an aisle where someone's actually sitting there cutting up product and handing it to a consumer. 9 times out of 10, it's raw product on its own. Sometimes it may be with a dip. If you have a young child who can sometimes be a picky eater, a little ranch can go a very, very long way. But you see them predominantly on Thursday through Sundays at some of the other bigger chain stores that run on these demo programs. And depending where you're located, if you're part of a local marketing group or marketing association, there could be dollars available that support co-op opportunities to run these demo programs at retail. So it's certainly worth looking into. It is an investment, but on the other hand, the ability to get the product in the consumer's hand at that store specifically will create an affinity with that product to come back and purchase it back at that store again. So it's a win-win for the grower marketer and for the retailer.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So, just boiling it down to bare basics, how can growers get started developing their marketing plan?
You need to have a deep understanding of where your 3 and 5 year plan is. Is it to grow acreage? Is it to increase the number of clamshells set forward? Then understand the retail landscape. The biggest part or the biggest challenge that many find is like, oh, there's just too many competitors in the marketplace. We can't make a headwind on that. For the last, I want to say, decade or so, the teams I've worked with, we've done competitive analysis every single month. We knew the marketplace inside and out. And it wasn't more so to look over your shoulder and see who's doing what, because I firmly believe not looking over your shoulder. If you're worried about your competitors, then that's just going to eat you up inside. But you need to understand the marketplace, and that being everything from product assortment to retail. What does it look like regionally, pack formats and such? But the ability to put your best foot forward is make sure you have an authentic story to tell, and find a passionate marketer who can talk about it for you in your words. You have to be able to explain to them, this company's been passed down from generation to generation. We have this proprietary seed or proprietary growing process or proprietary packaging process. How do you provide value to your customers by telling your story? So it starts from within, and obviously working with great partners that understand and literally drink the same Kool-Aid. They understand your proposition as a company, but also where you're heading. And that's important. Everybody's rowing in the same direction.
Anything else you'd like to add that we didn't cover about marketing plans?
Most important thing to remember is not everything is set in stone. It's pivot, change direction when needed, try things. There are many times in my career where I've had to pivot because we had packaging issues or crop failure and so forth. What did you do? Be relevant to the consumer and the customer. There are times where many retailers will say, yeah, I'm good with my existing supplier. You keep sending us pricing and so forth. The squeaky wheel will get the oil eventually, but make sure you're being relevant to that buyer. At the same time, understand your landscape. There are niche opportunities out there that you can really insert yourself into, regional growing operations and such, but also partnerships. Find out about retailer programs that do private label or white label programs. You may be able to have an opportunity to insert yourself into that conversation instead of just going with your own brand. But really, it's a glass half full approach. Your eyes are always open at 10,000 feet to see what else is out there to make sure you're able to strengthen your brand and get a step up on the competition.
Well, that's great info, Chris. Thanks for coming on to CEAg Talks again with us today.
Thanks for the opportunity.